In this video series, we are going to create a web page starting from the scratch, looking at a design mockup. So the design that we have right now is a JPEG file that I have downloaded from the internet. We are going to have a look at that design and we are going to start building a web page starting from the scratch, looking at just a simple design mockup that is a JPEG file. So let's look at the design right now. So this is how my web page will look like. I have a design file, and this is not an actual design file. This is just an image that I downloaded from the internet. So if I look at the image, you see that the pink color, we have a small pink colored header on the top which has a navigation menu. Let me zoom in a little bit. So you see, this is my main navigation menu. This is this complete thing is a header. So this line, the pink one, and then this the off-white, and then this the white one. This all is going to be the part of a header. So in the header, I will have the first section, which is my main navigation menu. I will have another section which will contain the site logo and a search box, and I will have a third section which contains the sub menu item. So I have to structure the page like this. When I look at the page visually, I have to structure the page in this manner. So the first part is going to be main navigation menu, second part is going to be the main site logo and the search box, and the third one is going to be a sub menu. And when I go down here, I can see that this is my main area where all the main content of my site is going to appear over here. On the left hand side is going to be my main content, and on the right hand side is a sidebar. And in the sidebar, I can display the most popular recipes, I can display some featured recipes, I can display some images, and also I can display some advertisements if I have any. In the main navigation menu is going to go the images of my recipes with the title and some other information. I have a view more link here, and I have some categories to choose from. So these are all the categories that are displayed, and in the end I have a footer that is like a little off-white in color, and I have the main site logo, I have a newsletter section, and an advertising. So we are going to create this complete page, this complete web page looking at this particular design. So the first step is going to be to open this web page in Mozilla Firefox browser, right? So how do I open this page in Mozilla Firefox? I have already opened this here, but just for the demo, I'm going to show how can I open it again in Mozilla Firefox. So I go to the folder where my image is located. This is the image that I downloaded from the internet. I can just drag and drop this image onto Mozilla Firefox, and you will see that this image will now open up in Mozilla Firefox. So this is my Mozilla Firefox browser, and I have opened this image. So let's start this project. I have already opened this project in brackets. So you see that I have created a blank HTML structure here. And just for let's see, I just want to do a test, and I will just put a heading H1. So I will do an H1 and a tab, and I will call it test page, and I will save it, and let's see how it looks. So I will just click on this button, the live preview on the right. This is supposed to open a web page in front of me, and it says test page. So fine, that means we are working on this particular web page. So let's start looking at how we can actually replicate the design into a live web page, how we can do that. Let's start doing that. Okay, so the first thing that I am going to do is to remove this heading that I created. This heading was just for a test. So I delete this heading, and I'm going to create a header first, because my website has every website has a header on the top. So I will just type header and a tab. When I do that, you see that it will automatically put the ending tag for the header. So if this is an HTML tag, header is an HTML tag. A tag is something that is enclosed or wrapped within the angle brackets. So the left angle, like the greater than sign and the less than sign. So this is a tag. So header is a tag. And when we look at the design, you see that my header contains three different sections. So the first section is a main navigation menu. The second section is where my site information like the site logo and the search bar is supposed to go. And the third section where my sub menu is supposed to go. So let's create these three different sections. So the first section inside the header is a navigation, main navigation menu. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it, let's see, I will create a div. I will create three divs. So since I want to create three divs, I will say div plus div plus div. After doing this, I will just put a tab, and you see that there are three divisions that are created right now. In the first div, I will call it, I will give it a class. So I will give it a class equals top, header top. Let's call it header top. In the middle div, let's give it a class of header middle. And in the last div, let me give it a class of header bottom. Right? Okay, so I created three different divisions. The first division, this is the second division, and this is the third division. So I created three different divs. Now the first division, it has some kind of a height is there, you see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate how much height it is. And what I can do in Mozilla Firefox, since this image is already opened in Mozilla Firefox, I can just do a single right click on it and click on inspect element. When you do the inspect element, you will notice that there is a small measuring tool over here. It says measure a portion of the page. You see on the right hand side, when I hover over it, it says measure a portion of a web page. It looks like a ruler. If you don't see this option, then there will be a small gear icon here. It says toolbox options. Click on that toolbox. In this toolbox, when you scroll down, you will see that there is something that will say toggle the rulers for a page or measure a portion of a page. Make sure that these two check boxes are checked. If these are not checked, you have to check these boxes, and once you check both the boxes, you will see that there are two different kind of rulers that will appear. So we have to just select the simple ruler which says measure a portion of a web page. I will click on that, and then there will be a cross-haired icon that will appear. When you hover over the web page, you will see that a crosshair icon will appear. My main purpose is I will just go to the top part of the header, let's say here, and I will click there and drag down, and it will tell me, as soon as I do that, you see that it is telling me that height is 70 pixels. You see that it says the height of this header, because the reason I did that is because I wanted to know how much height it has. So the top part of the header, it has a height of 70 pixels. So since I got the height, let me just make a note of that. So this header top will have a height of 70 pixels. What I am going to do is I'm going to just write here a style declaration. Style equals height 70 pixels, right? And a semicolon in the end, and I save this file. I also want to grab this color. What is the color of this thing? So in order to take that color, I need to go back to, let's say for example, inspector, and when you click on inspector, you see here on the left hand side, then you go here and you see there is an eyedropper tool or something. It looks like a dropper, like a eyedropper tool. So when you click on this, as soon as you click on this, the cursor will change. When you hover over your mouse, you see that it will start. When you hover over any of the color, it will tell you the hexadecimal value of that color. So you go to the header, move your mouse over there, and you will see exactly which color is that, and it says hash E06676. Click on that, and that color is going to be copied. So you come here, and I'm going to apply the same background color here. So I'm going to do a style declaration of background color of this hexadecimal value. I can save this and I can go to the web page that I was creating. When I do that, you see that now I have a top part of the header created. But if you observe very closely, you might find that wow, there is a small gap here on the left and there is a small gap here on the top, right? So let's do all the style declaration in the head. Instead of putting all the styles inline, I will put all the styles here right after the title. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a style tag. Inside the style tag, I'm going to target this header top element, and this header top is a class, right? So I will just copy this. For if it is a class, I put a dot notation, and if it is an ID, I put a hash notation. Since it is a class, I am going to put a dot and then the name of the class. So the name of the class is header dash top. I go here, I put a curly bracket, and I am going to copy this style declaration. So the first style declaration is height 70 pixels and the second style declaration is background color. So I cut this and I'm going to paste it here, and I will remove this style declaration from the inline style declaration from here, because I want my markup to be clean. I want my markup, only the markup supposed to be there, and in the styles only the styling is supposed to be there. So I do this and I click on save. As soon as I save, I come back to the page, nothing changes, because the only thing that we did is we removed the styles from inline to here in the style tags. Now what I am going to do, I am going to fix this problem. Here you see there is a white space here, here is a white space too. So I don't want these kind of white spaces, because by default my browser is adding some kind of a margin or a padding here. By default, a lot of browsers, they will try to add some margins and paddings on some of the elements, and I don't really want that. What I want to have is like a complete control over my styles. In order to do that, what I am going to do is just before I give the style declaration for my header top, I am going to go and I am going to put a star, and then I will put a comma, and then I will put a star colon before, put a comma again, I will put a star colon after. Okay, I put these three declarations. Star means everything. Select all the elements on the page. So it is going to select this div, this div, this div. It is going to select this header, this body, this HTML. It is going to select all the HTML tags on the page. Star means everything. Star is a wildcard character. So wildcard character means anything on the page. Select each and everything on the page and apply a margin of 0. Okay, you can also give 0 pixels, but in short form what you can do is if any value is 0, you just specify 0. I will give a padding of 0 again. I will give a border of 0 again. Okay, and I save this. When I save this, I go back and you see that the white space on the left and the white space on the top, it disappeared, and now I have this, the pink colored navigation menu. It appears perfectly fine from the extreme left to the extreme right. This is what I want, right? So let's go back to the web page, how my web page looked like. You see that it is extending from the far left to the to the far right, from the very left to the very right. Now, but my main content, that main content does not start from the extreme left. It starts somewhere in the middle. It starts from here and it goes up to here somewhere, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure what is going to be the width of my main content and how I can make my main content appear in the middle of the page, because this header, my main content, the home, the recipes, the gallery, all of this is not starting from the extreme left. It is starting somewhere in the middle of the page, you see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same measuring tool over here in Mozilla Firefox, and I'm going to measure approximately how much is the width of my main content. So I'm going to select this tool, click on that, and as soon as I click on that, you see that a cross-haired icon will appear. So you can go here, drag this, like do a single click, but like you just have to press on the mouse button but don't release it, and now start dragging it to the extreme right. And when you do that, you will come to know that it is approximately 1200 pixels. You see that it is telling you the width and the height. Now you can release this. As soon as you release this, if you go closely, you might be able to see that it says width of 1201 pixels. I'm just going to consider it as 1200, and so I just know that my main content has a width of 1200 pixels. That's it. This is what I wanted to know. So what I'm going to do, inside the main div that I created, I will create a navigation menu. This navigation menu is going to have a width of 1200 pixels. This is what I'm going to do. So let me go to the code editor again. Inside the header top, since I created the top header, I will create a navigation menu. So the navigation menu can be created like nav, okay, and I'm going to give it a class of main navigation, main dash navigation, something like this. So inside the main navigation, right, and inside the main navigation I have some navigation menu items. So I have home, recipes, gallery, about, and contact, and these all are supposed to be some sort of links, because these are the links, right? And these are a list of links. So usually these are the list items. Anything inside a navigation menu they are links. For sure they are links, but this is also a kind of a list, because this is not just one single link. These are multiple links. So whenever there is a multiple like links, it is supposed to be like a list of links, we can say. So what I can do is, inside the nav, I am going to create a UL, okay, and inside the UL I am going to create an LI. So what I did, you can see here that I wrote a UL. I will give a greater than sign, and I will create an LI. LI means the list item. How many list items are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I will put a star, and I will put 5. That means I have 5 list items, and inside the 5 list items I have A. A means I have a link. So after putting this UL greater than sign LI star 5 and then greater than sign A, and I will hit a tab, and you see that it will automatically generate the markup for me. So inside the main navigation item, I have an unordered list with the list item, and inside the list item, inside every list item, I have an A and href. So the first A has a value of home, second one has a recipes, gallery, about, and contacts. Let me write that. Home, second one has recipes, third one has gallery, fourth one is about, and fifth one is contacts. Right? So my navigation, the first navigation menu item is ready. I can just save this and let me go to my web page to see how it looks. So when you go back to the web page, it does not even look close to what we saw in the design. It looks a little ugly. The links are not really styled. They are appearing on the extreme left instead of appearing from here. But this is all what we are going to fix. So how we are going to fix that? Let's see how we can fix this. What I can do is, let me go to my this, and I have to my navigation I have a class of main navigation menu, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a style for main navigation. So I will, since it has a class, you see it has a class, so I will give a dot notation. If it is an ID, I will give a hash notation. You just have to remember that in styling. All the styling that I am giving is going to go inside the style tags. You see, there is a style opening tag and style closing tag. Every kind of a style that I am writing is going to go within these tags. So I am going to write a style declaration for my main navigation. So I will write main navigation. Inside the main navigation, we saw that the main navigation has a maximum width of 1200 pixels, not more. So I am going to give it a width of 1200 pixels, right? You save it and you go back to the page, nothing happens because the width is already given, but it still does not appear in the middle of the page. So for this to appear in the middle of the page, what you can do is let me just give it a background color also, so that you can see, you can differentiate. So let me give it a background color of let's say I will give it a background color of aqua. Let's save it, go back to the page, and you see that the aqua colored background that belongs to the main navigation. So the main navigation has a width of 1200 pixels. You see, from here to here it is 1200 pixels, but still it doesn't really appear in the middle of the page. For this to appear in the middle of the page, I have to give one more style declaration, that is margin 0 auto. So what does margin 0 auto do means? Margin 0 auto contains two different values. It's a shorthand property. Margin is a shorthand property, so the first 0 value means margin top and margin bottom is supposed to be 0, and the second value auto means the margin left and margin right is supposed to be automatically calculated. So when you go here, you see that now it appears in the middle of the page, right? So now it appears in the middle of the page, but this is again not right, because I don't want all my recipe items, the list items, to appear like this. There is a small bulleted list that is appearing here. Let me just zoom in a little bit so you can see this is a bulleted list that appears over here. I don't want the bullets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside and I'm going to write dot main navigation. So my main navigation is which is a nav tag. Inside main navigation I have a UL, so I will just give a space after main navigation and I will type UL. UL means unordered list, and I'm giving the unordered list a style, right? So I will give a style value, because since this is a bulleted list and I don't want this bulleted list to appear, so I will give a style of list style and I will give it none. Save this value and you see that the bulleted list, the bullets, they disappeared now. There is another thing I would like to do is I want all my list items not to appear like one below the other, but I want my list items to appear, all the list items to appear on like next to each other. So I'm going to write a style for the li in now this time, because this is my list item. So I'm going to give again main navigation, Control C. Sorry, I will give a main navigation and I will give li, that means the list item. And to this list item I would like them to appear next to each other. So there are several ways of doing that. Okay, there is a lot of different ways I can achieve this. So let me show you the first way. So the first way, I will use something called as display inline block. So I will give it a property of display and I will call it inline block, because by default the list item, that means this li, is a block level element. So since it is a block level element, it is always going to occupy or take the full width that is available to it. So every time the next list item is not going to appear next to it, but it is always going to appear on the next line. The same goes with the third list item. The third list item will appear in its own line. So I don't want that kind of a behavior. What I want is, I want the second list item to appear next to the first one, the third one to appear next to the second one, and so on. So I have to convert it from a block element to an inline block element, right? So I will give it a property of display inline block. When I save it, when I go back, now you see all the list items are now appearing next to each other. Okay, now what I want is, first of all, I don't want this background blue color. That was only for the purpose of demonstration, right? So let me just zoom out a little bit, like let me go to this, and I will give okay, let it be there for now. Let me just zoom in again, and this time I am going to increase the font sizes for this. So if you go back to the design, you will see that it has, let's say I will give it a font size of 18 pixels or something. Let's see how it looks. So I will go to the li, because this is a list item, and in this list item I am going to give font size of, let's say 18 pixels. Save it. So the font size increased just a little bit, not too much. You see that font size increased a bit, but not too much. Now I also want the height of this navigation menu item to be the same height of the header itself. Like you see, the main navigation menu item says 60 pixels in height. So I want the height of these navigation menu items to take the complete available space, right? So what I'm going to do is, okay, I can specify this in the A instead of the li. So let me just take this font size out. I mean, I can do that in the li as well, but it'll be better. So I will go dot main navigation. Inside the main navigation, this is my main navigation. Inside the main navigation I had the ul, so I gave the style for the ul. Inside the main navigation I have the li again, so I gave the style for the main navigation inside the li. And you see that every time I give a main navigation li, so I give a space between main navigation and li. And this time I am going to target the A. A means my link tags, my link. So I am going to give for the main navigation A, I am going to A by default. A, that means the link. This link by default is a inline element, and I want to make this a block level element. So I am going to make it display block, right? When I make it display block, you see that it does not appear in the next line, and the reason is because A is wrapped in a li, and li is inline block, right? So you see that there are 5 list items, 1 2 3 4 5, and all the list items are display inline block. But inside the list item there is a link, but that link is now a block level element. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a font size. So I will give a font size of, let's say, 20 pixels instead of, and I am also going to give a line height of what was the height of the header? The height of the main header top is 70 pixels, so I will give a height of 70 pixels. This is not the height, this is the line height. Okay, so line height and height is different things. So when I do that, you see that now it takes the complete available space, and it also appears vertically in the middle, right? So that is now closer to what I want. This is something closer to what I want, right? This is what I wanted. Okay, Now what I can do is I don't want this underline to appear under the all the list items. So I will get rid of the underline by writing a style declaration under the A, and I will call it text decoration, and I will call it none. Save this information, go back to the page. You see that all the underline now disappeared. And what I'm also going to do, let me just go here. You see that every list item or every list item has a specified, like there is some kind of a space here on the left, and there is some kind of a space here on the right. So this inside space on the left and on the right is kind of, it is the padding basically. So let me measure how much padding it is. So I will again make the use of my ruler, click on the ruler and come here and take a measurement. So I can try to measure, and I will go here, and it says the width is 36 pixels. So every A or every link has a left and a right padding of 36 pixels. So using this information, I am going to go back to my text editor, and I will give a padding of 0 and 36 pixels. Why I gave 0 and 36 pixels? Because I want the top and bottom padding to be 0, left and right padding to be 36 pixels. And I save this information, go back to the web page, and you see that now they appear like a little further away from each other. And let me zoom out now. I zoom out a little bit, and now you see that it is now starting to look a little closer to what I have in the design. Not exactly, but a little closer, right? So now what I am going to do is I am also going to give some kind of a spacing, maybe when you zoom in into the design. Let me zoom into the design even more. Sorry. So when I go up, you see that there is a small line here that appears, a very small kind of a line that appears here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this line, but let me not focus on that right now. First of all, let me just get rid of this aqua color that I applied, background color. That was only for the purpose of a demo. So this background color aqua I can just get rid of, save this, and now my links look like this. But if you look at the design, my links, the color of my links is white. So let me give my links a white color, and I will call it color, and I will call it white. Save that and go back to your page. So now it starts looking like this. And let me look at what kind of a font it is, because I want to use exactly the same kind of a font. And after closely observing this, I came to know that I already have saved the font information, the name of the font in a font file, and the name of the font is called Merryweather. Merryweather, that is the name of the font. So I am going to go to a web page. Let me go to the website called Google Fonts. Just go to Google and search for Google Fonts. Click on the first link, that will be the Google Fonts, and somewhere on the right hand side there will be a search bar, and search for the font called Merryweather. When you go to the site, you see that this is my font, Merryweather. So I will just click on this, or click on the plus icon, select this font. When you select this font, the Google here, it will give you a link. So copy this link, okay, copy this complete thing, do a Control C, go back to your text editor, and right before you start writing your styles, you see, before your style tags, just go here and paste this link. So what this is doing is Google is giving me a link to the font style sheet. You can just save this information. And also Google is also telling me which kind of a font family to use. So you copy this information, Control C, go back here, and let's give a style to the body, because once you apply the fonts on the body, it is going to be applied everywhere. So just do a font declaration for the body and call font family Merriweather. Just save that, go back to the page, sorry, go back to your web page, this one, and you see that my correct font is now getting applied. This is almost the same kind of a font that I have here. Let me go back. So but here my fonts are looking a much bigger than what I have here. So let me just bring down the size a little bit. So I'm going to give my fonts a size of 18 pixels instead. Save it and refresh. Okay, my fonts are 18, but maybe they are using a different version of that font probably. So let me go to Google Fonts again. Maybe it has some kind of a variation. Okay, maybe they are using the lighter version of that font. Okay, so I will have the lighter version and the regular version. When you go back to Google Fonts, you see that where you selected your link, just next to that there will be a button called Customize, a tab. Click on that Customize and you can select the light also. I can select light and I can select regular, right? And when I do that, after this, go back here and select this complete link again, Control C. Go back to your text editor and replace the previous link with the new one. So all I have to do is, also where I am specifying the font size, I will also specify a font weight. You see, because there are two different font weights, one is 300, one is 400. I will specify a font weight of 300 this time. So I will give here font weight of 300. That's it. Save it, go back to the web page, and now you see that you have a lighter version of the font, which is now closely looking to the site that we have. There is one more thing though. If you look at the design, the first menu item here, the very first menu item is highlighted in a different color. You see the background color of the first menu item is highlighted. That means there is some special sort of a styling applied on just that particular menu item. So what I'm going to do is go to your web page, the very first menu item. You see, this is my list item, the very first one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give the very first list item a class, and I will call it a class of selected. Save this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and I will do main navigation and li. So main navigation and li, this li has a class of selected, so I will give li dot selected, and then inside this selected I have the a, so I will go here and type a, and in this a I will give a different background color, right? Because what I want is a different background color here. So I'm going to go, let's see what is the background color. So I will choose my color eyedropper tool again, and I will select this background color, which is EEE. So I will just go here and I will do a background color of EEE. This is my background color. Usually it is supposed to be all in lowercase, so let's do that. EEE. Save it, and also it has a different color. So this color is the same color as the background color of the nav. So I am going to give color. And what is the background color for the nav? You see, the background color for main navigation is this one. So I just Control C and I'm going to Control V. Control C is for copying, Control V is for pasting. Save this, and when you go back to your web page, and now you see that you have a different background color for your home. So my main navigation menu is now done. Let's now, in the second part of the video, we are going to see how we can create the second what is this? Let me see. Yeah, the second section, which contains the site logo, the site tagline, and the third one is a search bar. We will create this, and then we will create the third part of the header. So I hope you understand this so far. So far what we have done is we have just targeted a small part of the header, and we went from creating a markup, a logical markup with some styles. So if you have any confusion, please let me know and I will help you resolve all your issues. Thank you so much.